Welcome into episode 77 of Gimme the Hot Sauce. We had a couple of great guests lined up. Vincent Goodwill, the former Bulls beat reporter at NBC Sports Chicago, now doing great things for Yahoo Sports, is going to join us in a few minutes. He'll talk about the Bulls and everything that's going on in the NBA playoffs. And later, something a little bit different.
Yes.
Dexter, the Blade Jackson, former Mr. Olympia, one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time, will take us inside the art of getting, what's the term?
Ripped.
Swole?
Getting swole, getting ripped.
Jacked.
Yeah, getting jacked. Yeah.
Stacked.
So he'll give us a little how-to.
Yeah.
He's going to help Tim with his goal of being one of the big power lifters of all time.
Yeah, I think DJ Pavel needs.
It's time.
I think Pavel needs to listen to this conversation as well. He's looking a little small right now. A little small. He's been wearing these big clothes. I thought he was bigger than what he actually is. America. I just got a chance to look at him. He's got a little cutoff shirt on.
Oh, he's
Tight
not
shirts.
happy about that.
No,
Tight shirts.
Yeah, he's got a tight shirt on, but he's got no muscles.
Schmedium.
Yeah, schmedium. It's so tight I can see his heartbeat. Yeah. That's how tight it is, America. But DJ Pavel is going to listen to the Blade, and he's going to get some workout tips, and we're going to get him back to being the DJ that protects us all here on the show. He's our protector. He's a third-degree black belt in Hapkido. Yes, he studied under the great Don Seasner, who is is the instructor. She's a 10-time black belt. She's worked out with Bruce Lee, not actually Bruce Lee, but Bruce Lee on the video game, Xbox.
So she gave Bruce Lee instructions on that scene with Kareem back in the day?
Yes, she did. Bruce, she's a Bruce Lee disciple, but not actually Bruce Lee disciple again. It happened over a video game. The UFC video game, there's a Bruce Lee on there.
Yeah.
For
everybody watching on YouTube, they're wondering, why are you making fun of people that aren't on camera? So first Pavel got it. Now Dawn gets it.
Yes.
Now Cozy's going to get it.
Yes. We got a little Cozy.
We'll have to have Cozy make a cameo.
Yeah, Cozy's over here in her little pink bed. She's just sitting here so cute. Just want
Chilling
to
out.
squeeze her little cheeks.
Not like your bullies.
Nah,
they almost tore the place up.
America. Hey man, listen. Brixton and Kobe. They used to come in here when they were puppies. It was fun. It was cute. I mean, they used to pass gas in here.
Oh man,
the meat farts were nasty. But now they've gotten so big. Now we can't even bring them in here. It'd be like a barroom brawl. They knock out all the equipment. I mean, they just gotta stay at home. So we decided to bring little baby Cozy because she only weighs 10 pounds. You can put her in your pocket.
Did she recover from Kobe knocking her across the room?
Yeah. She's back to being her normal cute self. We have to. We're working with Kobe right now on his just being rambunctious.
Dawn, why don't you pick her up and show it on one of the cameras so everyone can see what Cozy looks like.
Okay. Yes. Here she is. Tim, pass your
I mean,
camera around,
this
Tim.
is a visual medium. We got to make sure.
You want to come to me? Oh, they want to come to me. Hold
There
on,
you go.
America.
There's a little Cozy.
See, she's got pink little ears. Show her little tail. Okay, now show your hair. Let's see. Show your hair. She's got
matching set.
It's matching. America. This is what we deal with. The little puppy looks just like the mother. They both go to the same hairstylist. So she gets her little pink ears and pink tail, and we brought her in the office today, and Rich laughed at her.
Yeah, that wasn't
cool
nice.
at all, and Cozy tried to bite him. Cozy is super smart. She understands when someone's making fun of her, and she tried to attack Rich.
Hey, we should ask people on YouTube. We always enjoy the comments that people post. What do you think about us doing a live Twitch feed? Would that be fun, where you could actually watch the show live and post comments and questions that Stacey could answer? Yeah. Send some comments on YouTube. And as Pavel always likes me to remind, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because we're right at that 4,000 number. We want to bust that up this summer. Stacey's devoting 1,000% of his energy now to growing the podcast.
Yes, you know what? Hey, listen, I just found out about this Twitch, America. I wasn't a big Twitch man, but I found out about Twitch. So we're getting ready to jump on Twitch because I think it's pretty cool to interact with people. I was on someone's show yesterday, matter of fact. And,
give him a shout out.
Yeah, Pat the designer.
Yeah.
I was on his show. He's really cool because he actually does Bulls games on YouTube. Mm-hmm. He actually calls the game on YouTube. Yeah. And so it's pretty cool. So I was on his show, and I think it's called, what is the name of it? I just forgot. It was on the tip of my tongue.
He'll really appreciate that.
Hey,
thanks for the shout out. You can follow him at Pat the Designer, right? Isn't it? Isn't that his Twitter handle?
Mark? That's how you end friendships right there, Mark.
I guess we should have done more show prep. We would have been ready for that.
I didn't know you were going to ask me that question.
You were on that show yesterday.
My God.
It was a long time ago.
Oh, I think it's called the Windy City
Assassin, Derrick Rose.
Oh, my God.
Step back and kiss myself.
America, don't listen to Mark Shanowski. See, this is why the Beatles broke up. Yoko Ono. He's Yoko Ono.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'll find it in a minute.
All right, well, we'll get to that a little bit later. Hey, you've got a Dodgers hat. I thought you'd be sporting the White Sox today. They just took 2 from the Cubs in very, very cold Wrigley Field. What do you think about the Sox? Are they ready to make a move?
You know what? Listen, the rivalry games are totally different than the regular season games. You know, the Sox right now, they got a lot of injuries, a lot of guys in and out of the lineup, so they're kind of struggling a little bit, but this might help their confidence, being able to go and play crosstown rivalry against the Cubs, get that juices flowing again. Plus, the weather sucks. You know,
that game the other night, they had to play, and that was brutal.
Yeah, the weather sucks, man. So you also gotta put that into consideration as well. You know, it's cold, it's rainy out here, and no one can really get up to playing that kind of weather, even though they have to. But I think when it starts to get warm, they start getting some guys back. I think they're going to be the team everybody thinks they're going to be.
And nobody is hitting in baseball right now. I think the average major league batting average is about 231, which is like, that's the dead ball era. They're saying that all the teams have humidors now where they're trying to make sure the balls don't fly too far. And we're seeing a lot of balls die on the warning track. We're not seeing many home runs this year.
Listen, when they say the chicks dig the long ball, so do I.
That's right.
I want to see home runs.
Some action, too.
I want to see home runs. I want to see a lot of runs scored.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you like to see good defense. You like to see no-hitters and stuff like that. But, man, for some reason, man, I don't know what they did to the ball. They took out something out of the ball. The ball's not jumping off
They
bats
took
like
that Titleist out of the inside.
Yeah. It's not jumping off like it used to, which is not fun. I mean, people, you go back to, I know the steroid era and, all the guys were using steroids or whatever, but people were excited about baseball then.
Right.
People were coming to the parks to see these guys hit home runs and, drive the ball 450, feet. But like now it's just like these little 1-run games for 9 innings. Baseball is already slow.
Yeah.
And like no one wants to watch it on TV. You'd rather be at the ballpark watching it. So they've got to do something to spruce it up a little bit.
Well, hopefully the weather's supposed to be in the 80s early next week, so maybe that'll be a sign of some more balls carrying into the seats instead of dying at the warning track.
Well, there's nothing like some balls carrying in the seats. Seriously,
Tim, you got anything to add on that?
They'll be sticking to the
seat. See, America.
He couldn't let that one go by.
See how these guys are, America. I'm over here talking about home runs.
You're just trying to talk a little baseball.
I'm talking baseball.
Yeah. Throw up an easy one.
That was too easy for Tim.
I'll hit a home run on that one.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Hey, let's talk about the conference semifinals in the NBA playoffs. It looks like 2 series are going to be blowouts and 2 are going to be interesting. It's a shame that Joel Embiid got hurt. And remember all the criticism of why was Derrick Rose in the game when he got hurt?
Yeah.
They were up by 29 points with 4 minutes to go when Joel Embiid suffered an orbital fracture and a concussion.
In a game that they were clearly dominating. And this goes, listen, ever since the Derrick Rose injury, I don't know why coaches feel like they have to keep their starters in the game when the game is already decided. It doesn't make sense. Why are you padding stats? It's the playoff game. Who cares? Are you trying to get him the MVP?
It was a closeout game too, and they knew they had to get ready for the next round.
And I mean, you're up 29. If a team comes back and you lose up 29 with 4 minutes to go, everybody should be fired.
Yeah,
just close the franchise. Don't even call yourself the 76ers anymore. Just close the franchise. Move to South Dakota. Okay, if you have 29 and lose with 4 minutes ago, you deserve to lose.
Yeah.
But to have that guy out there in that situation, and now that might have cost you the series, because I'm watching this series very closely. There's been some very entertaining games this year in the playoffs, but I'm watching that very closely. And had they had Embiid, I guarantee they would have won 1 game.
I think so too, yeah.
And might have won 2, because they're having a hard time controlling Maxey. James Harden, for whatever reason, just doesn't does not look the same. I don't know what it is with him, but he does not look like the James Harden in Houston. No. I don't think he's ever been right health-wise when he came to Brooklyn with that. He came to Brooklyn out of shape, number one. You know, he was eating those stripper wings. He was going to the strip club getting wings, and he came in. He had like a little fat suit. Remember, he was chubby in Houston.
Oh yeah.
And then he got to Brooklyn, and all of a sudden, the fat suit was gone. He was like in normal shape. I'm like, how did he get in shape in like 24 hours? You know, but he didn't play very well in Brooklyn. He's having a hard time beating people off the dribble.
Yeah.
That first defender. You know, before he could beat anybody off the dribble. And then also you got to factor in they're not giving him the calls. You know, this year was the first year when you looked at him playing the games, you know, even when in Brooklyn, they came up with that rule that him, Trey Young, and some of these other guys who live at the free throw line, they weren't going to give you those calls anymore. And he was one of the guys who I thought really suffered from that.
And they're playing him for the step back now because they know he can't beat him with that quick first step anymore.
Well, you know, that team is set up really for Embiid.
Right.
Because James Harden really is a facilitator now. He's a point guard playing that position, and they need him to score. You know, they need him to actually score 25 points for them to even have a chance to win. But they've been lucky because Embiid has been so dominant, they haven't really had to use Harden. And Maxi's played well. All these other guys coming off the bench has played well. Niang and all these guys hitting shots. They played well. And, you know, we talked about it earlier when they made those trades. You know, they lost a lot of depth. You know, you lose Seth Curry, who was your best three-point shooter. You know, you lose Drummond, who could come in right now and play for you while Embiid was out. Or maybe if you have Drummond, you know, Embiid's not in the game. You know,
exactly.
You got a backup center. They have no backup center. The backup center is Paul Millsap.
Paul Reed, the kid from DePaul.
Paul Reed is there, but neither one of those guys are really, you can't replace.
And they got DeAndre Jordan, who's I don't know what happened to him either.
Yeah, he doesn't look the same. I mean, man, he doesn't look the same either. No. They're in trouble if Embiid doesn't come back. You
think they get back in the series if he comes back?
Yeah, I do. I do, because he's such a dominant force, and it forces your defense to have to double and triple team him because he's so dominant in there. You can't guard him with one person. You're going to leave. If worst case scenario, you got two, maybe three. Miami does a lot of good things as far as their doubles and then rotations, but when you have a guy like that demands that kind of attention inside, and then also can take you outside, put the ball on the floor, create, and then give his teammates easier shots. They're not getting easy shots right now. You know, James Harden, those guys are not getting easy shots. Maxey, to me, is the only one really playing worth anything. I mean, he's attacking. I mean, that kid's first step to the basket is unbelievable. I mean, he's blowing by guys like they're not even out there.
So up the other series, a couple of strange games. Milwaukee won the first game in Boston. Boston couldn't throw it in the ocean. I think Tatum and Brown were something like 10 for 31. And then in game two, Boston couldn't miss, and Milwaukee looked terrible. So how do you handicap that series?
Well, I mean, Boston wasn't going to shoot as bad as they did in game one. They're a good three-point shooting team. I mean, they're a decent three-point shooting team. And Milwaukee's going to play the same defense.
Yeah, they'll give you that shot.
The Bulls. They're going to give it up. But what you saw Boston do that they didn't do in game one is they stopped double teaming. I said that's what the Bulls should have done.
Yeah.
You know, Giannis is going to get his regardless. You just got to play tough defense. They got enough bodies to go against Giannis. The Bulls didn't have enough bodies to go against Giannis. I mean, they can go 5-6 players on Giannis, okay? So make him beat you. Make him have to score, because where Giannis is dangerous and where they're dangerous at is when you double Giannis, he finds the routine play.
Yeah, he did triple-double in game one.
Yeah, so he'll find the first guy. He'll know where the double team comes, and he'll find that initial guy. Where Milwaukee is really good at and where they beat the Bulls at, normally when you hit that first guy, most teams' first guy takes that shot because that's a return pass. I'm wide open. I'm going to take that shot. Where Milwaukee is really good at is that second and third play. Where they don't take the first shot, they're either going to take the second and third and force you to rotate from one corner to the other, and they're going to bank that you're not going to be able to get from one side of the court to the other after coming out of a double team.
That series to me looks like it could go 7. What do you think?
I still got Milwaukee winning that. You know, I think Milwaukee will play better at home. You know, I think Budenholzer will continue to play the same way.
No, he never changes.
He's not going to change. I think he looked at it as being, you know, okay, they you know, they're going to play this way against us. They're not going to double Giannis. Then maybe we got to move our shooters. You know, get them moving, setting screens, pop back, because you know normally when you don't have movement, you're just stagnant. It's easy to defend those. That's why, you know, like the Bulls were having wide open jumpers, but there was no movement in their offense. And so when you close out to shooters, it's easy to get out there to them because like when you turn to double, you lose sight of your man. And so if you got movement, a guy goes, sets a screen and brings somebody else to the corner, and now you go back out of that double team, turn your back, you're looking for your guy. So you're trained to get back to your man. Well, you thought he was in the corner. Now he's at the top of the circle. Now you're running to the guy in the corner, which leaves the guy at the top of the circle wide open, and then that's how you get beat. So I see them doing some movement with their wing players, try to get more in transition. They didn't get a lot of transition buckets in game 2, so I see them doing that.
Out west, it looks like Phoenix may sweep Dallas. The Mavericks have Luka and not much else.
Yeah.
That series is kind of ugly. But the other one's interesting. John Morant had 47 points in the Memphis win. That kid reminds me so much of a young Derrick Rose. I mean, he is so dynamic, such a great explosive leaper, and he's got that fierce passion to win like Derrick had.
Well, I tell you what, Mark, they might have woke up a sleeping giant. Really. I mean, Golden State, you could tell Golden State felt like they should have won that game. They should be up 2-0, and then they lose Gary Payton III on a
broken
flagrant
elbow,
foul,
yeah.
a broken elbow from Dillon
and Brooks got
Yes.
suspended for
He
game
got
3.
suspended for that. And then also there's a lot of jaw jacking, a lot of trash talking out there. Memphis has been doing it all year. It's not something that Memphis is just doing now. They've been getting in people's ear all season long. And now you're in the playoffs, it becomes magnified. So when you win a game, they want to let you know they won the game, you know? And so, you know, he walked by Steph Curry and said something to him, and of course he's gonna tell you the rated, you know, PG version.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there was a rated R version when he told Steph Curry, and Steph Curry just kind of looked at him like, okay, all right, we'll see when you come to Golden State. And so I like their energy. I like the fact that they are a feisty team, you know, but at the same time, they are lucky that they got a split because Golden State was winning that game up until the very end. And, you know, they let it get away from them. So I think they'll play much better. I think Golden State will come back out of that game. I think it'll be 3-1 when they go back to Memphis.
What'd you make of the whole Draymond Green thing where he got thrown out and he's waving to the crowd and smiling and laughing? That's just part of the act, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, Draymond is Draymond. I mean, nothing surprises me about him.
Yeah.
He likes the attention. You know, I didn't think he got a flagrant when he got ejected. I thought that was one of the most bogus calls I've ever seen in my life.
It was much milder than what Grayson Allen did to Caruso.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, listen, he grabbed the guy's jersey, and that could have just been out of just a reaction, you know, just an accident, okay? But he didn't slam him to the floor. He actually tried to hold him up.
Yeah, tried to catch him
you
again,
know.
yeah.
And I think because of his reputation, it preceded it. And I think the officials based it off his reputation. And I just thought that was – and they upheld it, which I thought the NBA would come back and say, you know what, that wasn't a flagrant foul. The NBA's got to do some really, really soul-searching with their officials. You know,
it's all over the place.
Yes, I'm saying it's not consistent. Yeah. You know, how are you calling the game? Are you going to – if the playoffs are supposed to be physical, then let it be physical. You can't let certain series be physical. When we played Milwaukee, I mean, Giannis was running all over people. Yeah. I mean, guys were actually taking charges. I saw the Bulls try to take more charges in that game than I saw in the last 2 months of the season. Guys were literally trying to get in front of them and doing, you know, rotating defensively. You got to reward defensive players for putting their chin in there and on a guy like Giannis and putting their body on the line. I felt like, you know, the Bulls were penalized for that. And now in the Boston series, they're calling it. You know, so you're like, oh, so you're going to call it. Are you trying to say Boston's reputation defensively is the reason why they're getting the calls and the Bulls don't play defense? That's why they didn't get the call? Be fair about it. If a player's there, it doesn't matter what jersey he's wearing or what team he's playing for or what city you're in. If a player is willing to stand in front of a freight train like him or LeBron or anyone like that and is willing to put their body on the line, you should be rewarded for that. Now, if it's a block, it's a block. But call it. These late baskets when a guy goes to the hole, he misses it, and then the other team gets the rebound. Beep! Oh, and then they that was a foul.
Wait a minute, that was a foul.
Yeah, but call a foul's a foul.
Yeah.
Call it when it happens. Don't wait to say, well, I'm gonna wait to see if he makes it. Yeah. Now that he didn't make it, now I'm gonna call and blow a whistle. Those late whistles drive me crazy. But you know, I'm just a man sitting next to the man. I have no power. I'm like a fan. I can voice my opinion. You know, no one's listening.
You know, we started out the show talking about Pavel and his shirt. Yeah. You see Luka, they had a tight shot of his jersey. He had the schmedium on too.
Yeah, you know what? He might need a larger shirt. I mean, you know, listen.
He's got to be like 240 or something.
Luka came into camp out of shape.
Yeah. He admitted that too.
Yeah, he was really out of shape. And, you know, Luka's been able to get away with that in Europe. where he's always going to be the best player,
Yeah.
and he can come in out of shape and play his way into shape. But when you're in the NBA, man, you're going up against the best players in the world. You can't do that. You know, all you got to do is look at James Harden. James Harden is not the same player he was 3 years ago, all based off of the late night partying, the not eating and taking care of his body, not getting the proper rest. Now it's come back to haunt him. As we said before, you know, Father Time is undefeated. Yeah. And if you're not taking care of your body, you don't need to look further than LeBron James. LeBron James spends over $2 million a year on his body. That's with personal trainers, dietitians,
cryotherapy.
This is the reason why this guy has got so many years in the league, and it still looks like he can play another 5 at a high level. Mm-hmm. Okay, when he says he wants to play with his son and be here when his son plays and be on the same team, that's not out of the realm of possibility.
And he wants to still be a good player, not just a guy that's hanging on.
Just hanging on, sitting on the bench, waving the towel. Yeah. I mean, you know, and he played at a high level this year. You know, it's just the Lakers made some bad decisions in free agency. They got a lot of injuries, COVID, whatever. But he's a guy that takes care of his body. He spends $2 million a year on his body, and it shows. And so I think these younger kids looking up to LeBron and seeing he's like in year, 17? You know, here he is in year 17. He's just as strong as guys in year 3. You know, with the way they're performing. He's still performing at the highest level. I know Giannis is globally considered like the best player in the world, but LeBron's not too far back after being in year 17.
I think he's in year 19.
Yes, it's crazy. So it's I mean, and here's the thing. In America, if you don't believe me, go back and look at this, okay? And I was telling somebody this about LeBron James. He is a freak of nature. A lot of people want to say different things like, oh, he's doing some stuff, TB12, that kind of stuff. I don't care. He's still in year 19, okay? Mm-hmm. You go back and look at every superstar player. After about year 10, you start to see a decline. You start to see a decline in their athleticism. You know, the great ones figure out how to stay in the game. You know, Michael was flying all over the place the first 8 years in the league, dunking on everybody, doing all these spectacular moves. But you look at MJ when he came back from baseball, MJ was picking and choosing when he wanted to take off and fly on people. Yeah. It became now he got a post-up game, fadeaway jumper. You know, he started, working on the three-point ball, started shooting three-point shots, and his game evolved into, a different Michael Jordan. It prolonged him to play longer and then be able to still be dominant in that second three-peat. And then so you look at Kobe Bryant, same way. Kobe Bryant, first 7-8 years, just flying all over the place. Then he gets all these injuries start happening. He starts, the Achilles tear, boom, boom. He changed his game. He went into the post. He went and started being more efficient scorer than just, being a high volume shooter. He still got up 25 shots a game. Don't sleep. But he was a much more efficient scorer than what he was in the beginning of his career.
Last thing before we bring Vinny Goodwill in, I'm sure you saw the news that Ben Simmons had back surgery, herniated disc. Does that make you feel more or less compassion for his missing in action season?
Listen, man, it still doesn't it doesn't change the fact that he doesn't work on his game. Okay. I mean, yeah, he's having back surgery and I feel bad for him and the mental health issues. I like I said, you never want to question anybody when it comes to that because I'm not a therapist. I can't make those diagnoses. Yeah. If that's what they say is the problem, that's the problem. If his back's hurt, now he's going to have surgery, his back's hurt. But as far as the part of working on your game and spending time working on your game, and I told somebody this the other day, if Lonzo Ball comes in this league and he shoots a certain way, and then he changes his shot, the next year he works on his shot, changes the mechanics of it. He goes from being an under 30% shooter to a 45% shooter. Why did he do that? Because he put the time in. He worked. He was in the gym. He was really honing his skill level. If Giannis, who was probably a 15% three-point shooter in his first few years in the league, and you could literally back off of him and dare him to shoot, now he's worked on his outside game, and he's still not a great three-point shooter, but you see him evolving into a decent three-point shooter, which now you have to like honor him at the three-point line because he might shoot 34%, but he still is now capable of knocking that shot down. And there's been a lot of guys who worked on their game, and you want to know why Ben Simmons continues to have the same game. You know, he doesn't shoot the basketball. You watch him in the summertime when he's playing pickup games, you're like, who is that guy? He's shooting threes.
He's shooting threes, yeah.
He's shooting the ball, but then when he gets into an actual game situation, he doesn't shoot. You know, he doesn't shoot the ball. And I saw a video, I don't know if you saw this, of Patrick Beverly. You know, he was working out before one of the games against Memphis. And he was doing all these ball handling drills, you know, which are really good. You know, really good ball handling drills. But then you get in the game, he never does that. He looks like he's never dribbled a ball before in his life. But he was doing all these hand-eye coordination dribbling drills, you know, kind of like Steph Curry did. It was impressive. And I was like, this dude can dribble like that? Why does he dribble like that in the ring? He dribbles like a power forward.
Make his game a lot easier.
Yeah, so you gotta work on your game, man. You gotta work on your game, Mark.
Yeah, Rondo's shooting those warm-ups. I was like,
yeah, Rondo.
Oh, look at this guy shoot.
Rondo is another guy that realizes that people are just going to back off of him. He has to shoot the basketball.
Yeah, he became a decent shooter late in his career.
Markelle Fultz. Fultz couldn't shoot when he first came in the league, and that was more psychological with him. And then he was able to get himself right, and now he can knock down 3-point shots. So if you work on your game, you know, it can happen.
And for all you conspiracy theorists out there, I know Stacey loves a good conspiracy. Why did the Brooklyn Nets clear Ben Simmons to play Game 4 when he had a herniated disc in his back? They certainly had to know that. They're just trying to embarrass him?
Listen, America.
You told Nick Friedel, watch this. Threw that dunk down.
Well, you know, listen, because my biggest thing, Mark, is what's the difference in playing in Game 4? Then why couldn't you play in Game 3? It's only a day in between.
So he never was going to play.
He never was going to play. Yeah. But my thing with Brooklyn was don't even say it until you actually know for sure he's going to play.
Yeah, were they going to scare Boston because Ben Simmons is coming back?
Ben's coming around the corner. He'll be back in Game 4. You guys have done it now.
We'll never win.
Exactly. We're doomed. They should have never released it. And when they made the trade for him, you know, they should have done their due diligence to find out because they were under impression he was going to play when he came to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay, so either his agent lied and said he was healthy enough to play because you didn't hurt your back getting on a plane from Philadelphia to come to Brooklyn. Okay, either your back was hurt in Philly and you just didn't tell anybody, and when we made that trade with the understanding that you were going to be able to play at some point, you know, you basically lied to us, and so now we get you in Brooklyn, you can't play. You can't help us. Here we are in the playoffs. You missed the last 30 games of the regular season, and I'm sure Brooklyn now goes back and says, wow, man, we probably wouldn't have made this trade if we would have known this is going to be like this because if you even think about it, you know, Seth Curry didn't help them either.
No, he was hurt too.
You know, Seth Curry, he was hurt through the whole process. So you were getting Brooklyn, thought they were getting the better end of the deal. They kind of got shafted, you know, because at least Harden's playing.
Right.
Harden is out there at least contributing to Philadelphia's playoff team. You got Drummond, and they barely even played Drummond in the playoffs.
Right. Well, Ben Simmons, after this surgery, is supposed to be ready for training camp. We shall see. So stay tuned on that one. Coming up next, we're going to talk the Bulls, their past, present, and future with our good buddy Vincent Goodwill. Before we go to break, though, want to thank one of our great sponsors. That is Jeff Vukovich. When it comes time for insurance for your auto, home, and business, make sure you contact the king of insurance, nationwide agent, Jeff Vukovich, our friend at jeffvuk.com. That's jeffvuk.com. Stacey, the Golden Pipes.
Nationwide is on your side.
There you go. We are ready to roll. Taping on a Thursday afternoon from the Hustle and Flow Studios in beautiful Palatine, Illinois. Vinny Goodwill is next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. It is now our pleasure to welcome in our good friend Vinny Goodwill of Yahoo Sports. I had a pleasure of working with Vinny for a few years over at NBC Sports Chicago. That was the golden era of NBC Sports Chicago, Vinny. It's kind of gone in the tank since then.
Mark, I feel like I gave you gray hair for all of the trouble that I was putting you guys through on air, yelling at Kendall and Will and everybody else. I would like to formally apologize for all of those shenanigans.
Well, you're always the voice of realism, though. You know, sometimes people look at the world of the Bulls through rose-colored glasses, and you always just snapped everybody back to reality.
I took pride in that. I'm glad people realized, especially Stacey, that I was always right.
He was a Piston through and through. I just want to throw that out there.
We talked about that a lot. Yeah.
America. He was a double agent. And now he's on the national level, so he can do his thing. But he was a double agent. He's still my boy, though. He's still my boy, and I give him credit because he does tell how it is in a city where it's tough to do.
It's true.
It's tough to have opinions when you are not from Chicago.
Yeah,
fans don't like that, but
they like to remind you of that too.
Yeah, they do. Vinny didn't care though. He's doing his job. I say you got to respect the person doing their job.
I love the hashtag "Go Back to Detroit" though. That was pretty funny. I like that.
That used to go on Twitter all the time.
Yes, I didn't know that Chicagoans were so sensitive. Y'all got 6 championships. Y'all got a Super Bowl. Y'all had a World Series. Why so sensitive? You know what I mean? Like,
why so sensitive?
Yeah,
Why so serious?
one of those championships that the Pistons had was ours anyway. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. So we let y'all have that one. The Scottie Pippen.
Oh, you mean the Game 7 where the Pistons led by 30 points?
The Scottie Pippen migraine game.
You mean that one?
The migraine game. That's all we can say. The migraine game. That's all I'm gonna say. John Paxson being out.
Scottie wasn't making up no 30 points.
John Paxson knee injury, Game 6. After we beat y'all by about 30 in Chicago, John Paxson knee injury, couldn't play in Game 7. Yeah, okay. All right, let's just keep it real.
Y'all couldn't win on the road. Y'all couldn't win in Detroit to the next year.
Vince, we were there, Vince. We were there. Okay,
y'all were there. Y'all were there.
We should have won that game. If Pippen doesn't have the migraine headache, Pax is healthy, we win that series.
Hey, Vince was 6. Give him a break.
Yeah, that's right. Vince was a baby. He was just out of diapers.
I remember that game. It was, I slept well that day. I'm like, Game 7, light work.
Man, hey, listen, that one title, that should have been ours. That should have been ours. 89, 90 should have been us, baby. But we get y'all have it. In the next year, what happened? What happened, Vince? What happened?
We got old. We got old and hurt.
Y'all got old in 1 year. In 1 year, y'all got old.
Accumulation.
Well, y'all in dog years? Were y'all in dog years?
Hit a bad hand and a bad foot. Dumars has played like 42 minutes a game because Isaiah was out. Vinny Johnson was old.
Lassie.
James Edwards was 36.
What is it? Hey, Whispers, what is dog years? Is it 7 years?
It's about 7.
So y'all aged in 7 years, dog years.
They went right to 97.
Yeah.
Look, it's a fine line between being experienced and old. In 1 year, you could go from being experienced and seasoned to being old.
Okay, so Boston could say the same thing about y'all.
Absolutely, they could.
They got old. They got old. We ain't making excuses because first of all, nobody beat the Bulls to take the title from them. Nobody did. Okay, the only person that beat the Bulls was Jerry Krause. That's the only one that beat the Bulls. Okay, no team took the title from the Bulls. Nobody.
You got the greatest player ever. You should.
Hey, listen. Now we got the greatest player. Listen, we had the greatest team. Okay, we won the greatest teams. Okay, it's a team.
Hey, all I can say is my team's best player was 6'1". Y'all had a guy,
and he's from Chicago. We let you have him too. Oh, how many times we give Detroit something? We gave you Isaiah. He's from Chicago. We gave it to him. Oh my God. What else do you want?
Credit, Stacey. That's what we want. Don't talk about Scotty and no migraine headache.
Hey, listen, you see these banners behind me, boy?
Hey, all of them earned.
That's right.
All of them
That's
earned.
right. Okay.
Have I ever taken away credit?
You haven't. I like to have this banter with the Pistons because I know how you bleed Pistons, and I just want to make sure.
Back then. Back then.
Oh,
I haven't bled that Piston blue in a long time, Stacey.
You're not supporting them right now? They're going to be nice in the future.
Vince and Kendra.
I think so. They'll be good, Stacey. They'll be good. But once you step in this space, you kind of lose all of that. You know what I mean? That's why I told Chicago I'm an equal opportunity tell it like it is guy. I did that to Detroit. I had my parents mad at me most of the time when I was talking about how bad the team was. You think I'll be mad that Chicago is upset with me?
Oh, that's true. I give you that. That's true, man.
And Isaiah, seeing him on NBA TV all the time, he talks a lot more about his Chicago background than he did during the Pistons days. He seems to have embraced.
He loves Chicago. Man, he loves Chicago. He always says, I grew up on the west side of Chicago. He comes home a lot. He's still very involved. Even when I was there, he would always let me know that he was in town doing work like on the ground. You know what I mean? He loves. I'm not sure how much he talked about it back then because I was a kid, but he's always shown some unconditional love to the city.
Yeah, well, back then, I mean, even though he was from here, it was almost like he wasn't welcome here because of all the antics. And I tell people all the time is that this generation of guys will never know what those rivalries were. They'll never. There is no rivalries in today's game like it was in the 90s. I mean, there was genuine hate, like not only between the players but the fans. Like it was, I mean, it's kind of like the rap game. The rap game has got that now. Like you either Little Dirt or you young boy, okay? And the fans get into it all the time. That is very reminiscent of how basketball was. And I was just telling my friend that the other day about, about the rap, the beefs and the fans getting into it. And you read about that all the time. I'm like, man, that's some old 90s NBA basketball. But the fans done took to the NBA.
It was a blood feud back then, man.
Yes.
You took real pride in wearing, the logo of that team that you loved and grew up with. And if you saw someone with an opposing color, you would look at them funny and they would look at you funny. Like, I think it's a part of that's been taken away probably because of the money, because the guys grew up in AAU together and everything else. There's so much familiarity, but Stacey, Isaiah, and Michael Jordan didn't know each other until they ran into each other on the floor and came across two fierce competitors. And I think that was the golden era, of the NBA. Yeah, some ugly things that happened, but I think it just added sort of to the texture of the game and stuff that we talk about 30 years later. You bring up Pistons, Bulls, to someone in Detroit, this little part in their forehead, it is real like what you about to say. You talk to somebody like that in Chicago, it's the same way. I did not realize that you guys viewed me as a Pistons operative.
Yeah, he's a double agent. He's a double agent. Watch that guy. Watch him. Watch what he's doing. Keep an eye on him, Mark Schnowski. Don't let him get too close. Don't give him too much information.
Hey, Vinny, what do you make of this current iteration of the Bulls? Obviously, they bowed out in the first round of the playoffs. Were tied for first place in the Eastern Conference at the All-Star break, and then some unfortunate injuries hit. It looks like Arturas Karnisovas did all the things that people wanted Garpax to do. They made trades for established veterans. They weren't afraid to trade some draft picks, maybe mortgage some of your future to win now. What's your take, looking at it now from the outside, on what the Bulls were able to accomplish this season?
I mean, if you told some fans that, hey, you're going to finish with a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference and you're going to win a playoff game against the champs, and is that what you're going to be satisfied with? I think Bulls fans would have said, you know what, we're good with that. DeRozan came up and showed up big. Zach LaVine, especially before he got hurt, he showed that he could vacillate between being 1A some nights, 1B other nights. And when you look at the roster, I don't see how much more you could have gotten out of it. Now, I know a lot of that is a function of how Billy Donovan likes to play. He likes to play a little bit faster. He doesn't like to play with multiple bigs on the floor. So you're going to have more of a glut of guards, and you're going to have guys playing, maybe a position down or a position up relative to their size. So when I look at the talent on the roster, when I look at the way that they reached their highs early on in the season, I think that's what happened. You raised expectations when DeMar DeRozan was having game winners and 40-point games, and you're tied for first in the East coming up on the All-Star break. That whets your appetite a lot more coming into the second half of the season. And then you look and you see Boston stepping up, and they had years of equity trying to figure it out. Milwaukee, years of equity trying to figure it out. Miami, we know what they've come to the table with. This is very early in the program. So this season to me was about laying foundation. Hopefully for them, you get Zach LaVine back. Hopefully, I would venture to think that he was probably going to have a scope or something like that.
Right.
Very soon on that knee. I think he's been a lot worse than what he led on. But he's a gamer, a competitor. He's going to play. But I think you re-sign him. You figure out some things with that roster, and hopefully you have some health, which is always sort of snake bitten this franchise for the past decade or so, and maybe you reevaluate things, and hopefully you're in a much better position. But look, at least you won a playoff game. The Brooklyn Nets didn't win a game.
Exactly. And you just hit the nail on the head, because you think the same way that me and Mark. We had Nick Friedel on, and Nick Friedel thinks that it's a mistake to sign Zach LaVine to the maximum contract, which I find that hard to believe, because the fact that, first of all, you don't have two-time All-Stars walking through the door. It's hard to find guys, and I look at Zach being homegrown talent, even though we got him a couple of years into his career. Remember, he came over here with an ACL injury. He was recovering from an ACL injury. So all the things that he's developed into happened here in Chicago. So I look at him as being more of a homegrown talent. We didn't draft him, but I think he really achieved the things that he's achieved in Chicago Bulls uniform. So I find it hard to believe that people would say they let him walk because he's too much money.
Shocked. I mean, well, color me shocked that Nick Friedel doesn't agree with something that you guys said. I mean, come on now. If I'm a contrarian, I don't know what Nick is, but I think for whatever reason, whenever people say max contract, I think that's like the guardism. Whenever we would say max contract the guard, he would say, well, Michael Jordan was here. He's not Michael Jordan. Nobody is. Like, that's not the standard that you should compare a guy to playing here. But I do think there's something to come to plan in this city with the lineage. Remember, you're following behind, not Michael Jordan per se, but Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, the specter of what those teams were and what you wanted to accomplish. And he had no problem. He didn't shrink from those moments. And you assume that most guys are like that. I've been around a lot of guys that want no part of that pressure. They want all the money. They want a lot of the accolades and everything else, but they don't want the pressure to actually perform. Zach, that fits him well. So if I'm the Bulls and he's talking about still a young guy, DeMar DeRozan, I won't say his best days are behind him, but you're not going to get another year of DeMar like you got this year. You got maybe the best of the rest of what he has left. Not that he's old, but he's closer to the end than the beginning. So you have to have some talent that's at least on the upswing along with your veterans. I firmly believe you got to have a mix of both. You got to have guys that are close to their prime, guys that are maybe exiting their prime, but are still very, very productive, and young guys on the come up that can sort of lift a little bit into that environment. I think Zach is in a perfect place. When I saw him come off of that ACL injury, y'all, I was like, okay, he's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think whatever happens now with little scope, I'm not necessarily worried about what he's going to go through now because he's shown that he's a worker. And as far as a max contract, it ain't my money. So I'm not going to be complaining about what somebody else is spending. I'm not looking in anybody's pockets. I think the Bulls can afford it. That building is full every night.
Yeah, the Bulls are going to obviously tweak the roster. One thing we've learned about this current front office, they're not just going to sit on their hands and go, oh, we're okay. You know, we're okay with making the playoffs, maybe losing in the first round. I think AK is going to go out there and try to make some bold moves and try to build on what he had this year. Looking at it from your perspective, they've got one more year of Nikola Vucevic, and then he's going to be his contract will expire at the end of next year. What do you think this Bulls team needs to make that next step to be a legitimate Eastern Conference contender?
Another big, I think for me, that's the biggest thing, because you saw last night, and I know last night, Game 5 was not indicative when you're talking about the players that were out and everything else, but it was a freeway to the basket defensively. And you look around the league, you look around the playoffs, size still matters. You know what I mean? Like, we say it in a bunch of other ways, but size definitely matters in the NBA. You still need guys that can rebound and protect the rim. Most importantly, protect the rim. And I think the Bulls got one part of it right, Mark, was when you get Alex Caruso and you get Lonzo Ball, those are guys that can force turnovers, flip the tempo, get you out on the open floor so everything offensively isn't a slog, and you can be also opportunistic on the defensive end. Turn that up a notch. Go get I won't say a shot blocker, but someone that can protect the rim. The crazy thing is, a player who would fit perfectly here right now is a guy you traded Nikola Vucevic for, Wendell Carter Jr. It just
true.
I've said that timing with his career and where he was at that point, but what he's developed into, and I still think you make that move a couple of years ago, but what he developed into, a shot blocker, a guy that can finish at the rim, he's matured and everything else, he's gotten healthier, and now he's a premier back to the basket sort of defender. That's the profile of someone that you need. I don't think it was a mistake by any stretch, but I do think that's the type of player that you're going to need, especially when you have so many guards and you have Patrick Williams who's going to figure things out. I would say as long as you re-sign Zach, I would be bullish on the Bulls' future, believe it or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other teams out there that got more problems than the Bulls, and that's what we talked with Nick about, because Nick's big thing is he doesn't feel the Bulls are going to be the same team as they were last year. We're in the same situation that the Knicks were in. They have a great season. Everybody's everybody's excited. And that's why I beg to differ with him, because, one, the front office is going to do whatever it can to win. They're going to do whatever it takes. You got players on this roster. DeMar DeRozan, to me, still can get it done. Will he be able to duplicate what he did this past season? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of things that played into that. The motivation of everybody saying he was washed up, and I think that carried him through the season. As we saw in the playoffs yesterday, I thought he was tired. This is a guy that plays almost 40 minutes a night, every single night. He's in that superstar player role where everything falls on his shoulder. And not having his sidekick Zach there last night, there was really, the chances of winning on the road in that situation was very, very tough. And I think they need a three-point shooter. Just watching them all season long, Milwaukee last night dared them to shoot. They were like, yo, we're going to give you the shot all night long. We don't care. As long as it's not DeMar DeRozan, we don't care. Everybody else can shoot. They'll live with Vooch having wide open jumpers. They'll, Kobe White, whoever it was, they did not care. Their whole objective was to stop and slow down Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. And then when Zach LaVine was out, then it became easier now because now we just got one. So we can focus on that one guy and we'll get – because they lead the league in giving up three-point shots. That's their defensive scheme. They're going to give up three-point shots. They can live with that. Their philosophy is you can't make enough to beat what we're going to do to you on the other end. And that's why they've been able to beat a lot of teams because how you going to stop that Giannis? I mean, seriously, Giannis looked like a football player in this series. He's running people over. I mean, he should have fouled out about it. He should have fouled out every game, be honest with you. I mean, but he's such a force. He's a Shaquille O'Neal type of player. It's just impossible to stop him. My philosophy, Vince, was let him get his, stay on the shooters. He going to get his 30 regardless. He going to get his points regardless. But you shut down the Connaughtons. You shut down the Grayson Allens who played big for him, Bobby Portis. Stay on connected to the shooters. And I thought that's where the Bulls kind of got themselves in trouble because they were so busy running around, trapping, trying to double, off Giannis that the shooters were getting wide open looks and they were knocking them down.
Yep. I think it's hard. It's easy to say, let superstar player get his, but your instinct is to come and help. You see him blowing by your guy, your instinct tells you, leave my guy in the corner or leave the next man over and go help. I think coaches have a hard time conceding anything in today's game. They want to say we can stop everything as opposed to saying, let's be realistic here. And at the end of the day, Giannis is going to do what he's going to do no matter what defensive scheme, that you have. I think if most people could stop Giannis with personnel, it is really hard to find somebody that quick, that long, that smart, and willing to stand in there and take the physical punishment. It just happened to be the Bulls in that situation. And I thought there was only two teams that the Bulls were really going to have supreme trouble with. It was going to be Philadelphia because of Joel Embiid and Giannis. Not to say that I felt like they would have beat Boston or Miami, but I felt like size-wise, you had a better chance of utilizing the speed, utilizing DeMar and Zach in those situations than you would have been against Giannis in Milwaukee and against Philadelphia and Embiid. They just happened to draw a bad beat, and it played out the way that it honestly was supposed to play out.
Vinny, who do you like to win the Eastern Conference, and who do you think ultimately will be the NBA champion?
It might be the revenge tour of Jimmy Butler. it might be because Milwaukee was going to be my pick, but then you hear about Chris Middleton being out with that sprain for the entire second round. I don't know if they beat Boston. I just saw Boston against Brooklyn those last two games. I was in New York. Boston looks very, very good, very cohesive. That defense looks hellacious. That defense, unfortunately, Stacey, that defense reminds me of the Jordan rules. They will beat you up. They'll stay in front of you. They're very, very smart. They cover a lot of ground. They protect the rim. But I think Miami, just because I believe in Eric Spoelstra as a game night coach and being able to make adjustments over a 7-game series, I might be willing to take the Miami Heat over Boston if Chris Middleton doesn't come back, because I'm just not sure that as great as Giannis is, that he can stop what Boston has coming. Boston's just clicking at the right time. And out west, until someone beats the Phoenix Suns,
I agree.
Can't see anybody beating them. No, I know everybody's enamored with Golden State, but Stacey, they look so small. When they run out that lineup with Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, and you get Draymond Green playing 5, I feel like that can only last for a few minutes at a time before the rebounding gets you, before guys get tired trying to play guys, 50, 60 pounds heavier, 2 or 3 inches taller. I'm not sure that they can play that way against Phoenix and win an entire playoff series, let alone an NBA title.
The way Draymond Green has D'd up Joker, I haven't seen nobody D him up like that.
And he still hit like 40 and 20 last night.
But he made that dude. This whole series has been difficult for him, and they shut everybody else down. The way Golden State shoots that basketball, man, I'm telling you right now, you can't leave none of those guys open. None of them. The only person you can come off and help off of is Draymond. That's it. And you take your chances. And
even Gary Payton's kids hitting threes now.
Oh my God! I'm gonna tell you something. If I'm a team right now, hey America, if general manager, if you're listening, if I'm a general manager right now, I'm trying to go get Gary Payton.
Yeah, he's nice.
I'm trying to get him because what you see in the playoffs, the other kid from New Orleans, Alvarado. Yep. See, I made that comment last night in our game, is that you need the teams have gotten away from full court pressure. You let guards now walk the ball up the floor. I hate that. You got to have, even if you have a young player, go out there and pick up full court. Maybe you don't have a veteran like Drew Holiday do it, but you got a young player on your roster that can get out there and do it, like Carter for Milwaukee. That's what he does when he comes in, a change of pace guard. You see how much disruption that causes. You don't see teams do that anymore. They let the guy walk up the ball, 8 seconds. He can walk it up, get in. When you don't put pressure on the ball, Vince, what you see is it gives the team 2 or 3 options to run their offense. Okay? You putting pressure on that guard and making him turn his back and bring it up under pressure. Now you get the ball over. Now you're under 20 seconds as far as like, what play you're going to run. You don't have 2 or 3 options. You got to now get the best option you can get, because this guy has ran off all the time once you came past half court.
And I'll tell you something else. I was literally talking about this to a friend earlier. When Mike and Scotty would run that 2-2-1 and have Horace on the back line, or Rodman or you or Will or whoever, you know what I mean, on the back line of that press, and you would just put so much pressure and just make a team uncomfortable. To me, that's the biggest thing, is just make a team do something offensively that they don't want to do. You speed them up, you slow them down, you throw them off just a little bit. Like you didn't do it often. I felt like you did it a lot in your first championship years, and then deployed it, ever so often in the next 2 years. I'm guessing just because you don't want to do that all the time and just run your guys' legs out. You know what I mean? But now today teams don't do it at all. But they don't have Jordan and Scotty defending guys to be able to do that. And nowadays teams save all their energy for offense anyway.
Well, I thought Milwaukee was kind of reminiscent of how they played defense, because they weren't selling out on the double teams. What they would do is they would send DeMar or Zach somewhere to where help was. And they were always shading them to help. And so the closest guy, because normally when you double team, you have a specific guy that you say, we want you to go trap, we'll rotate and cover for you. Normally it's big on a pick and roll.
Right.
Okay. But what they were doing was, we're not selling out on running and trapping, going all over the place. We're just going to send them to one area, and the closest guy, you're going to be in that area on that elbow where DeMar likes to shoot that elbow jump shot, where his mid-range game has been deadly all season long. They were not allowing him to get to that spot. DeMar would have to take further shots out that he normally doesn't have. Instead of having a 15-footer, he was having an 18 to 20-foot jump shot. And now you played into their hands now, because you're doing something that you're not comfortable doing.
No, I think Drew Holiday is one of those underrated defenders, because he's 6'4", but he's long.
Yes. So
he's quick enough to stay with the small guys, big enough to stay with the DeMar DeRozans of the world. Look, I think they're going to be tough to beat. Even if I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Boston. Like, there's something, and Stacey, I'm sure you could speak to this. There's something to the arrogance of being a champion.
Yes. And
knowing and walking into a building, even against a really good opponent, even against a better opponent, that, we're the champions. You got to take this from us before we give this to you. And I think Milwaukee kind of has that arrogance. And when you get arguably the game's best player at maybe the peak of his powers, it's going to take a Herculean effort from Boston, from Tatum, from Jaylen Brown and all those guys, not to just slow them down, but to beat them. And I don't know if anybody's beaten Giannis 4 times in 2 weeks at this stage of his career. And I know it just flip-flopped.
The one thing Boston does have that most of these teams don't have, they got a surplus of bigs. They just got Williams back. Yep. They can trot out 4 or 5 big guys to battle against Giannis and Lopez, okay? And all those guys are very good defensive players. They're not, even Al Horford is a smart defensive player, veteran player. So they got the bodies to run at Giannis. We didn't have the bodies to run at him. And that's the difference. If you got the bodies, Phoenix had the bodies last year, and they can run different guys at them. You got to have bodies to play against Milwaukee. And I think that's what gives Boston an opportunity, because they've got even Grant Williams, who's an undersized, forward, can defend bigger guys. So you got 5 guys that you can say, we can run them at Giannis. We got 6 fouls between all these guys, and we're going to use every single one of them.
I mean, here's the other part of it. This goes back to the Bulls with team building. If you know that to go through the Eastern Conference, you're going to have to see Giannis. Yeah. You got to get personnel that looks ahead and says, okay, if we're in the playoff series again, who are we going to get that physically can match up? You know what I mean? I'm not saying you can't build a team with small guards, but I feel like they have a lot of them. I feel like they play four out a lot. And maybe that's Billy Donovan's coaching philosophy and everything else. But I do think that in a way, not everybody had a Jordan stopper, but you thought about it in the way of, man, if we're going to see Jordan in the Bulls, we've got to get a perimeter defender that can match up with him and we can feel reasonably comfortable. Now, it never worked, but you understood the strategy, and that's what the strategy has to be with Giannis. You need the bodies. There weren't the bodies there, and I think AK and Mark Eversley and front office and ownership and everybody else, they have to get together and be realistic and say, you know what, if we're going to see Giannis, we got to get the bodies.
Well, I'll tell you what, the next 6 weeks are going to be a lot of fun, especially in the Eastern Conference, deciding who's going to make it onto the finals. And I kind of agree with you. I think Phoenix, Devin Booker's coming back, and I think they're going to be the team to beat out West and really in the league at large. Vinny, thank you so much for joining us on Give Me the Hot Sauce. Always good to catch up. Be well, and we'll be following you at Yahoo Sports, all right?
Hey, appreciate y'all, man. Chicago, I miss you. Don't hate me, please. I'm sorry.
You said some good things about the Bulls.
You got off the hook. Sometimes. That's all. Most of the time, except for
they don't even recognize you right now because you need a haircut. You got an afro going, so they might not even remember who you were. But when you cut it down and you get the waves going, they be like, I know that. I know them waves because Vinny always had the waves tight. I was getting seasick when he was on the TV. I'm like, look at his wave. That boy got some Indian in his blood. Boy, they got some good hair. He got some good hair, boy.
Yeah, Nick gets all the hate on the social media. Vince will be fine.
Yeah, Vince will be fine.
Yeah, everybody hates Nick. Nick be walking on the street. They be challenging him to a fight. we had a
Nick
bet.
Is the most eligible bachelor wherever he goes, though.
Yeah, well, that's true. We had a bet that the Knicks, early in the season, he said the Knicks were going to be better than the Bulls. I said, man, no way. So we ended up being better than them. So then he's like, I owe you dinner. I said, because I want that ESPN money. Don't be pulling out, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. We going, not no steak and shake. We want some real stuff. But I'm kind of scared to go out with him. Because I got to think about my safety. I don't want nobody trying to say, "Hey, I got to bring security with me," because I don't want nobody to think they get Neil and take me out too. I'm just an innocent bystander in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It'll be some blondes and some brunettes chasing after Nick. That's all.
They ain't chasing after me. Gonna keep a happy home, boy. My girl's right here. Be quiet.
Okay, my bad.
On that note, we're out of here. Oh, woo.
That's the great Vincent Goodwill joining us on Give Me the Hot Sauce. Thanks again.
All right, boy, we're going to send you some hot sauce, baby.
Yes, sir. See you guys.
Thanks, Vince.
You're the best. All of you know Stacey is a man of many interests, and one of the things that he said that he likes to talk about is bodybuilding. And now we're going to welcome in Mr. Dexter Jackson, the Blade, one of the most decorated bodybuilders of all time, 2008 Mr. Olympia. He's won more titles than just about anybody in the history of the sport. Dexter, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. You got a big fan here in Stacey King. He's really interested in the way you've acquired all those titles.
That's awesome, man. I had no idea. I was a huge Bull fan, so when he hit me up, I'm like, Stacey King? Then I went and looked you up, and I'm like, wait, you don't look like you used to.
That goes for a lot of us, actually.
Hey, that's uncalled for. That's uncalled for, Blade. Blade, that's uncalled for. Not everybody walking around with muscles in the earlobe, okay? All right? Come on now.
So, Stacey, how old are you now?
55, baby. I know I look like I'm 35, baby. I'm 55, baby. That's right. Black don't crack. Black don't crack, Dexter. Okay?
Looking good, man.
Hey,
good.
Listen, they don't call me the Black Brad Pitt for nothing.
The Black Brad Pitt. That's what's up.
So like I said, we try to bring in different guests to, let our listeners see different sides of, sporting, because it's like most people like, oh, they talk basketball, yada, yada. No, we like to bring in interesting people that make an impact in sports. Tell us a little bit about how you got into bodybuilding and, and your journey to this particular sport. Did you play other sports before bodybuilding?
Yeah, I played football. I was a football star all the way up to high school. I was all state and all that stuff. And I played, I ran track. I was a 5th degree black belt. I did a lot of sports. I played baseball as well. And how I got into bodybuilding? Well, I was actually at home, okay? And my brother went off to boot camp. And, when you come back from boot camp, all you do is push-ups and stuff and get swole. Yeah. So he came, he was a little buffed. I was like, oh, hell no. I'm not going to let my brother outdo me. So I started going to the gym working out, right? So this is right out of high school. So I'm out working out and This guy walked by. I was like, hey, Dex, man, you know Tim getting ready for a competition. He's bodybuilding this week. I'm like, Tim, who the hell is Tim? And what's bodybuilding? So he walks by, had his little cut off shorts on. I'm like, what the hell? I don't want to be around here with no big Daisy Duke shorts on like that. But he had big calves and shit. I was like, dang, this dude looking crazy. So they was like, you know what? Why don't we just go watch the show? I was like, all right, what the hell? So we went and watched the show. And all I remember is just when these guys came out on stage, the place was so packed. It was probably 5,000 people in there, and the girls just going crazy. And I'm like, oh shit, I want to compete. I want the girls screaming for me like this. So I started working out. After competition, I started working out for the next competition, which was about 6 weeks later. And this girl from the gym was like, yeah, you need to eat this, get in shape and all of this stuff. So long story short, it was just tuna fish and rice. So I ate tuna fish and rice like every meal, like 4 or 5 times a day for 6 weeks. And I was like, bro, I ain't seen tuna fish since. It's been 30 years. I ain't had tuna since. Anyway, I ended up winning a competition. I won the whole competition. It was I was a bantamweight. I was 137 pounds at that time. I ended up winning overall. I was the only bodybuilder to ever win a bantamweight, to ever win overall in the state of Florida. And back then we had like 80 shows a year. And I was the only one to ever win overall. And the rest is history. I've been doing it since.
Wow. How hard is it? Because I've always wanted to know this. I know my brother, like I told you, my brother dabbled in the bodybuilding, and I know he was very disciplined with his routine on how he ate and everything. And how hard is it? Let our listeners know how hard it is for you to maintain a diet going into a contest, and how difficult it is for you to stay on where the rest of the people can eat burgers and milkshakes and French fries. How difficult is it for you to stay disciplined and stay that course? I know that's your job and everything, but how hard is that to do?
It's very hard to do. You have to be dedicated, like you just said. You have to be 100% dedicated, and it has to be a lifestyle. So coming into the game at the beginning of my career, I learned very quickly. At first it was just fun and games. Like I said, trying to, pick up girls and all of this stuff. But as you start winning and getting higher up and getting into the national level and then getting into pro qualifiers, you learn real quick you can't be joking around, because these guys are on their P's and Q's. They're doing what they're supposed to do. So it's very, very hard to actually stay on a competition diet. These diets that normal people do is no comparison to what a bodybuilder does, because he's pretty much cutting out all the fat, and he's pretty much eating the same thing every day, every meal. So he's eating about 5, 6 to 7 meals a day, depending on the person. And the same stuff every day. Like, say, for instance, when I wake up in the morning, let's say my first meal would be 9 egg whites with a 12-ounce baked potato. That would be breakfast for me. Next meal and so on. So I would have that same thing for 6 or 7 meals per day. And not to include, not to mention the cardio that you have to do, if you have to do cardio. Thank God I'm very blessed. I have really great genetics where I had to do no cardio up until I, got into the pros, and I only did about 20 minutes. But thank God, because most people have to do an hour to hour and a half of cardio after they work out, or even in the morning, on an empty stomach. So I thank my parents for my amazing genetics that I didn't have to do none of that stuff, because if I did, I probably wouldn't have lasted this long. Yeah. Okay. So I was able to last for 22 years in this sport, longer than anybody in the history, and on a competitive level. So I was in the top 10 for my whole career, which has never, ever happened before. So that right there lets you know how disciplined you have to be when it comes to being in this sport. Very easy to get sidetracked, things that our friends do, we can't do, like go out and party and drink and all of that stuff. So you have to, limit that stuff. And when it comes time to actually start preparing for competition, you can't have none of it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but you learn how to pick and choose your shows, and you can still enjoy life if you play your cards right and know what you're doing.
You mentioned your longevity, and we said at the top of the introduction that you were Mr. Olympia in 2008, but I think what might be even more remarkable was, I believe it was 2015, you finished second at the age of 45. I'm sure you're looking around the room, and there's so many young guys around. Did they marvel at your ability to compete at that high of a level at that age?
Absolutely. I've always tried to mentor the younger guys coming up. You know, I didn't have that because these guys back in the day, like Sean Ray and Flex Wheeler and all these guys, they was always like all to themselves and stingy with the information. You know, I'm about, you know, helping people. If I can help a person, you know, even though I know he's about to beat me the next year, I'm all for that. It's who the best man is that day. And that's all, you know, that's how I am when it comes. That's like Stacey say, you playing against Jordan, you know, or somebody. You know, I'm sure, you know, there was guys that you played with that mentored you, that they would know you was coming right up on their heels, but they didn't care because, you know, it's all about brotherly love. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way I am. I always reached out to these young guys, or when they come to me, always taught them the ropes on how to, you know, have a longevity in this sport instead of coming in and want to be the biggest and the best right away and then have a 3-4 year career like most of these guys are doing these days.
Yeah, we love the training video with the Santa beard, and then you trimmed it off right before the competition.
Oh, yeah. I always do that. I always like to, you know, let this beard grow, because when I'm so focused, I don't care about anything else. It's just going to the gym, eat, sleeping, and training. Okay. I actually used to move from here. I had a place in LA because I would train with my trainer, Charles Glass, out of Gold's Gym.
Oh, the great trainer.
And I would, exactly. So I would leave here, go stay there for about 3 to 4 months. You know, I had a little apartment out there. My wife was like, you know what, go ahead, get you, you know, and thank God, you know, I thank God for her, because it's not easy letting your man or your wife go away for 3 months at a time.
Yeah.
Just to train. You know what I'm saying? But my career was near the end when she let me do that. And I had to do something because I knew I wasn't ready to retire. I knew I still had a lot in the tank, but my body just wasn't showing it. Okay. It was starting to decline, and I had to make some changes, you know, revamp everything. That means my diet, my machine work, you know, because I went from doing any kind of free weight stuff to all machines. And a lot of people think you can't grow if you just do machine work. So I was one of the, you know, people that wanted to show you can be better and you can still strive just by doing machine work, because it took a lot off my joints and that prolonged my career. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was able. So usually around 10 years, people are out of here. I lasted 22. Yeah. So when I went out and I changed my nutrition up, and I got with a brand new nutrition coach, George Farrer, and I got with Charles Glass in the gym. He actually trained me in the gym. And, you know, like I said, we went from doing all those heavy compound movements to just machines and work, man. And we end up prolonging my career another 10 years.
Talk about how the evolution of the bodybuilding as far as the physiques have gone. Like, I mean, you look at, you know, when Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno and those guys were coming in, they were big for their time. They would be classic bodybuilders now with their physiques that they had. They wouldn't be considered like, I mean, they wouldn't be considered like you guys, you know, with the muscle mass and everything. Those guys would be, their physiques would be looked at more on the classical side. Would you agree with that?
If you were to, if they were to come in as is, yes. But you can't say, that's like saying, Stacey, you back when you were playing, or Jordan when he was playing, that LeBron and these guys are way bigger than you guys, which is true. But if you put him in this era and growing up and coming up in this era, he have the same technology as everybody else. So he's going to be much bigger than he was then. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So if you put Arnold in this era and he's doing the same amount of food and doing the same thing that we're doing these days, he'll be much bigger than he was back then.
Really?
Right? Because they don't have the technology we have these days.
Because when you look at those guys and how they trained, and I mean, it was like really old school, you know, kind of like the machines they were using, and you see the technology that guys have. Like you look at a guy like Ronnie Coleman and you see how he trains. I mean, he trained like a beast, you know, Jay Cutler. These dudes, for you to go on stage against those kind of guys with that size, they were over 6 feet tall, with that kind of mass, and you being able to go, delts for delts, everything shoulder to shoulder. That's impressive.
It really is. And to be honest, I'm my worst critic. So it's like what people see in me, I don't see. When I look in the mirror, I've always seen where I can better myself. And I think that's what's kept me going for so many years, So standing next to Ronnie and all of these cats, man, I feared all these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, we can have 12 guys in the show, and I'm scared of everybody because to me, everybody looks great. I'm terrible when it comes to judging people. Okay, so all 12 people scared me. That made me want to continue to work hard. You know what I'm saying? So just being up there against these guys and the way they trained, it was pretty intimidating, especially with Ronnie. There would never be another Ronnie Coleman. The sheer size and the conditioning is just unmatched.
Yeah.
Okay, so there would never be another one of those guys. Jay Cutler and some of the other guys, I end up beating these guys, but I can never beat Ronnie at his best because keep in mind, like you said, he's 6 foot tall, he's 270 pounds, 290 pounds with a pretty good physique, but his conditioning was just as good as mine. So how can I beat a guy who's got a physique just as good as mine and he get just, the same amount of condition as me? I beat most guys off of shape and conditioning. So no matter how big they are, and that's the beauty of bodybuilding. It's not all about how big you are, but when you have all of that, it's very hard to beat like Ronnie did.
Yeah, I also thought you always had an advantage when it came to the posing, and you played to the crowd. Like that's where people look at you and go like that. Where you had an advantage too, because like you'd have the crowd eating out of your hands when you would come out and you would do your routine, and everything just flowed really. See, I know bodybuilding. Don't sleep, Dexter. I know you sit over there like, what this boy really know this? He really know the sport. Yeah. So I always thought that's where you really made a difference, because the crowd always loved you no matter, every year you came out, you can hear the applause when you come out because they just want to see your routine, what you're going to do now when you're out there on that stage by yourself, not so much standing next to everybody, but your routine that you was going to do, which is always electric.
Well, man, I really appreciate that, Stacey. Like I said, I had no idea. Boy, you sound like you know what you're talking about.
Oh, baby, I told you, baby. Don't think, hey, I know. I'm a huge fan. I told you, boy, I'm a huge fan. I can talk bodybuilding. Don't sleep.
That's awesome, man. It really is. It really is. And when you have guys like The Rock, and I mean, when I saw The Rock, he's like, "Yo, Dex," I'm like, "Me? You know who I am, Rock?" He's like, "Hell yeah, I know you are. You won the honor 9 times."
Yep.
And now he's telling his buddy, Dex won the honor 9 times. He's won more. I'm like, dang.
More top 20 finishes in the history of the sport. Finish in the top 10 in 2020 when most people thought you was done. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. I used to get all them magazines when I was a kid. My brother had me looking at it. I was watching them magazines. I tried to get big like that. I couldn't do it, baby. It's too much. It took too much dedication and discipline, baby. I couldn't do it. But I was always a fan.
Well, you asked me about the dedication. So there you go. You know how hard it is.
It is.
On the diet. Let's put it this way. If you get 100 people, I would say 80 of those people would drop out in the first week with the diet.
Yeah. I'd be one of them. I'd be one of them. My girl tried to get me eating some healthy stuff, and I'm like, I'm ready to. I'm tapping out like I'm in the UFC. But I'm eating it though, Dexter. I'm eating it. I ain't gonna lie. I'm eating it. I'm changing up.
I've been training people as well. I've been doing online training for about 15 years. Not a lot of people. Mainly lifestyle people that just want to get in shape and just have a couple abs, not put on all that muscle, nothing like that. But the ones that I did train, they just, a couple of them, I remember this one chick, she said, she started, I sent her her meal plan and everything. She started doing it for like 2 weeks. She's like, "Man, I can't handle this. I got to quit. I can't do a diet without milk." I'm like, You quit because you can't drink milk? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
it's just the little things that, man, it's just people just have to have, in their life. And once you cut it out, it's very hard for them to continue.
Yeah, that's part of our debate here because I've told Stacey it's okay to have, a bunch of Heinekens for your carb load right before the workout. Is that true?
Heineken. Yeah, man, that's crazy.
That's usually the reaction we get
exactly,
when Timmy whispers.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So my question too is because being an athlete and now you're done with your sport, and I know being a basketball player, as a lot of my friends who are retired now, their body. All the hard stuff that we put our body through, our bodies are not meant to do the things that we are able to do, but we did it, okay? Right. And then you start to feel it as you get older. You start to feel the aches and pains and joint pains and stuff like that. How is that for you? Because all the poundage that you have done over the years with the weights, the heavy squats, the benches, I mean, you've lifted a lot of heavy weight, and then you converted it to the machines at some point in your career to take the stress off the joints. How are you feeling? How's your joints and everything?
My joints are amazing, to be honest with you. Don't ask me how, but that's one thing that I was very smart with. Training for 30 years is I paid attention to my body. So if I tweaked anything, I would take off from doing that particular body part until it heals. I didn't care if it took 3, 6, 7 weeks, whatever. I would take off until it heals. A lot of these guys think it's no pain, no gain, and they keep training through it. And guess what? You're just going to keep on reckoning. It's going to be, torn up forever. So that's one thing that I always paid attention to is my body and getting that proper rest. I went to get MRI done not too long ago because I've been having some little back pain, and what come to find out, I have a little, couple spots of arthritis. Mm-hmm. And he's like, Dex, for you to been doing all these years of training, and that's all you got? He said, man, that's
impressive.
Yeah, it sure is.
Never had a major injury or nothing like that. So that's what I'm saying. Listening to your body is everything, man.
Because I'm watching your videos because I follow you on Instagram, and I see you working out in the gym, and I'm like, man, he looks really good, To be out of the sport now, he still looks very good. Like you don't see any ill effects. Like you're not all bandaged up, or you're not getting the Flexol 454 on you. You look good, man. You look good. How old are you, Dex? Because you're younger than me.
I'll be 53 this year.
Okay, yeah. You working out don't look like you're 53.
Oh yeah, I keep some abs.
Yeah, man. You look damn good. So here's another question I know my listeners would like to know. Like, okay, so when you got into the bodybuilding and you started moving up the ladder, like who in the sport that you really idolized, that you wanted to talk to and learn from, and which one of those guys was very informative to help you?
Well, like I said, most of those guys were pretty stingy with information. Sean Ray, I looked up to him and Flex Wheeler the most, but Sean was first. And when I first met him, he was cool, but he was only cool because I had a couple of chicks that want to holler at me.
Yeah.
So I found that out real quick because after that, Joker wouldn't call me, wouldn't text me back, nothing like that. I was like, okay. So I was done with him, and then I became, I quickly became a Flex Wheeler fan, and Flex is very cool. But I think out of, Chris Camille, Flex, Chris Camille gave me so much information. I learned so much from him, especially when we were going tour and compete. So usually after the major competition like Mr. Olympia or something, they will have like 4 or 5 different shows in different, countries. Like we might compete in Finland on Monday, then Tuesday we might compete in Italy, and Wednesday we might, so we were hopping around from country to country. So we can't, as Americans, we have to stick together. So we became a very tight knit, team while we were over there. And I learned so much from Chris Camille. So I would have to say Chris, I learned the most from.
How about Lee Haney? Were you a fan of Lee Haney's?
I was a fan of Lee.
Because you remind me of Lee Haney, though. You kind of remind me. Y'all were the short, strong looking dudes, but very symmetric.
Well, first of all, everybody's short to you, Coach.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is true. That is true.
No, but Ronnie much taller. Lee Haney much taller than me. Lee's like 5'11". He's almost 6 foot. I'm only 5'7". So
wow.
especially if you put me next to him on stage, it's going to be a huge, height difference. But I did look up to Lee Haney a lot, especially when it comes to business. He's a very business-oriented guy. And it's nice to be able to know him and be able to call him and chat with him from time to time.
Hey, Dex, as basketball players, trash talking is a big part of what we do. And then after seeing the movie Pumping Iron, where there's all the trash talking going on in there, does that still continue? For your era?
Not so much. Bodybuilding is boring now. These dudes just, they want to be a star today. They don't want to put in the hard work.
It's the same in the NBA.
Much like some of these other major sports and the NFL and all that stuff, they just want to go straight to the league and get paid. And then after they get paid, they're sorry as hell after that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, So same thing with the sport, man. You guys want it today. They don't want to put in on work. And
So what I've also noticed with a lot of these guys, like Arnold was really kind of the first one to like transcend going from just being a bodybuilder to being, mainstream, whether it was in the movies, now, then it was businesses, and then it was the governor of California. Yeah. I mean, was that something that you guys looked at, going into bodybuilding? You probably didn't see all that until you saw like him do it. And did that give you guys some inspiration to say, hey, look, maybe I'm not going to be the governor, but I can start my own business. And, I'm doing, supplemental, in the supplement business or
be
whatever.
In the Expendables.
Right. Oh, yeah, or be in the Expendables.
I mean, Arnold didn't have the greatest physique. If you put him up against our physiques and stuff like that, but what makes him one of the greatest is what he did on and off the field, right? Or on and off the stage. And like you said, with all the businesses and what he's accomplished off the stage, that's why he's so amazing and such a great guy. He said, he got his Arnold Schwarzenegger classics that he has around the globe. I think he got about 6 or 7 of those, one in Ohio, which is the main one that I won the most. I won 5 of those.
We know.
And he has Brazil Arnold Classic. He has South Africa. So he has so many around the United States. Around the world that it's a way to give. He's giving back, and also it's a way for us to earn a living. You know what I'm saying? So I model after what he did. I started having my own show. I've had my own show, the Dexter Jackson Classic, here in Jacksonville, Florida, since 2007. So a good while. I had multiple shows, but I ended up letting the other ones go because it's just too much work.
Yeah.
And this is my baby. It's right here in Jacksonville. So I've been putting that on, like I said, since 2007, man. And I got my own supplement line that I just launched a few months ago, and I'm getting ready to launch here in the States. I've launched in India, the Dexter Jackson Signature Series, and also in the whole Middle East. So now I'm getting ready to launch here in June, July-ish.
That's
awesome. Fantastic stuff. Hey, you've been on a restrictive diet your whole life. You're not competing anymore, so we're gonna send you some of Stacey's signature hot sauce. He's got different flavors and varieties that you can enjoy down in Florida.
It's organic.
Bring it to me. I ain't gonna eat it. Right? My girl
it's organic. It's all organic. It's all fresh.
When I eat stuff hot, it don't agree with me, boy. It don't
you don't want to eat this. You don't want. You be calling 911, baby. Put out the fire, Dexter. The blade is on fire, baby.
Yeah, man. But I'll be glad to get some and let her taste it. She'll be brutally honest with you too.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, this is a big treat for me because, like I said, I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of the bodybuilding. I love it. I mean, it's so funny because like now the shows are during basketball season, so I can't go to like the Arnold and stuff like that. But I'm gonna try to get to the Olympia. I'm gonna try to get to the Olympia this year because is it in Orlando?
No, it's back in Vegas in December.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get it because that's one of my biggest things is to get to go to the Olympia. Yeah, I definitely want to do that. So
we can send Dexter that early video we had in one of those podcasts of you doing the clean and jerk.
Oh yeah. Don't sleep. Hey, we used to we Olympic style trained. When I was with the Bulls. That's why we won 3 championships. We were probably the strongest team in the league.
That's what's up.
You know, so, but it's really cool talking to a professional guy as so accomplished as yourself. That's why I reached out to you, because, like I said, we like to get our audience, a taste of, what other people do in sports. What it takes to be not just great at basketball, but great in everything that you do, and having different people come on and explain their story and how they got started. Because there's a lot of people in this, especially Illinois, that love bodybuilding. This is one of the really good places to come. They have some really great shows here, Illinois. So there's a lot of followers that'll be interested in watching the
Chicago.
show. Yep, Chicago, baby. Whew,
yeah, they got a lot of shows in Chicago. Junior Nationals is there.
Yep, Junior Nationals. Yes. See, man, oh man. See, memories.
Oh, yeah.
See, these guys, Dexter, they when I said I was bringing you on, they was kind of scratching their head like, okay, what does Stacey know about bodybuilding?
Hey, we're impressed.
See, look at them now. See, now they trust me. When I tell you, I'm not gonna bring somebody on here if I don't know what they do. Okay, I'm a fan, so I know everything about it. So I'm like, whew, I know the dedication. Oh Lord, I'm taking supplements now, baby. Oh, Lord. Matter of fact, I'm gonna hit you up, and you're gonna tell me what's good. There you go. Good supplements
Get
to take,
some professional
because I trust you.
When I get some supplements in hand in June, I'm gonna ship you.
Yeah, send me some. Ship me some, because I trust you. Because I seen the way you look. And I ain't gonna look like you, but I seen the way you look. And like I said, you in your 50s now.
Hey, but you know what, man? I am now about 210 from 260, 270. And man, let me tell you, I feel amazing.
Wow.
Like I said, we're getting up in age, man.
Yeah.
And people just don't understand how important it is as you get older, or how, important exercise is, I eventually want to go down lower than I am now. It's tough to get this muscle off, but I'm down 60 pounds, and I'm just loving life. I get just able to spend time with my grandkids and run around and all that stuff, man. And it's just, I'm having a time of my life now.
What was your peak weight? What was your heaviest?
My heaviest I've ever gotten on off season?
Yeah.
Probably about 270.
Wow.
270, 275 was the most.
That's some serious mass for your size.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
We're just glad to hear life is good down in Florida, doing fantastic, doing some personal training, and one of the most decorated bodybuilders of all time, Dexter the Blade Jackson.
The Blade.
Our guest on Give Me the Hot Sauce. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Nice talking to you guys, bro.
We're gonna stay in touch, baby. Hey, we friends for life now, boy. I'll be moving to Florida in probably about 4 years, baby. I might come down and train with you. Let's go, baby.
We'll see you at Expendables 5.
So long, Dexter.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, big dog. Thanks.
All right, guys.
Hey, before we get out of here, you wanted to talk about what happened on stage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle. Yeah. Another idiot ran out on stage and tried to take Dave Chappelle out.
And it wasn't Will Smith.
Did you hear Chris Rock say, was that Will Smith?
Yeah.
Okay, so listen.
Too bad Dexter wasn't on a security team. Huh?
Hey. I'm gonna say this. Listen. Stop that, people.
Yeah.
Please stop. Please stop. If you don't agree with what someone says, or you don't like them personally, don't go to the show.
Right.
Don't contact them. Don't follow them on Twitter or Instagram.
And get a first row seat.
Yeah,
take it up from a fan.
Take it up. Yeah, don't go there and do that kind of stuff, because I'm gonna tell you something, man. He's lucky he's alive.
Yeah.
I mean, if you saw that dude, they beat him into his life. They broke his arm. Your arm is not supposed to look that way.
No.
His arm was literally dislocated. He was stomped, beaten. Jamie Foxx got some punches in. Buster Rhymes got some punches in. Who else? Chris Rock was back there getting some punches in. So it's like, why would you embarrass yourself, and why put Dave Chappelle in that situation? It could have been ugly. That guy, he came on stage with a gun with a bayonet on it. And it could have ended up a lot worse for Dave Chappelle, because Dave Chappelle was caught off guard by it completely. If you saw the video,
how do you get that through security too?
Exactly. And then they said something that he went through a different security gate, and it didn't didn't go off. But it doesn't matter because Dave Chappelle's a huge comedy star. Yep. And he's really, listen, you may not like Dave Chappelle for some of the stuff that he said, when it comes to transgenders and all this stuff. And you have an opinion. People have an opinion of that. And if they don't like it, that's fine. That rub people the wrong way. If you don't like him, don't support him. Don't go to his show. To buy a seat in the front row and try to do what that guy did, man, I'm telling you right now, like, did I tell you, we had the man code violation. The dude tried to kiss me.
Yes, we talked about that last week.
Because that's what I'm talking about right there. I've had situations early on where we were in Cleveland, and I was, because we're so close to the fans, and so me and Neil were doing the game, and a lady came up beside me. Now, when we're at United Center, Joe Grube, Joe Grube, our stage manager, he's about 5'2". Yeah. But I'm
feisty.
telling you, he's feisty. Yeah. He's a third degree in Taekwondo. Okay, so Joe makes sure no one comes near us. Like if you try to talk to me during the game, and he'll jump in, hey, leave him alone. And they get scared. So we don't have that kind of person in when we go on the road. I would love for Joe Grube to travel with us because Joe Grube really keeps fans off of us and while we're doing our job. So we're in Cleveland, and so I'm doing a game. And I see out of the corner of my eye someone walking towards me, but I just assumed it was just a fan going to the bathroom or going to get a beer or something. Yeah. And it was a lady. And so I could see out of the corner of my eye she was kind of slowing down. And I get a little nervous when people slow down. I'm like, okay, she's slowing down. Like, okay. So I look over there and she kind of waves, and I'm like, who's she waving at? so I go back to the game. The game's going on. All of a sudden she rolls up beside me. And she pulls my headset, Stacey King, how you doing? And I'm like, I was shocked. And the stage manager who was sitting right there saw it. And I'm like, see, you couldn't work for me on my security detail because you supposed like when that lady jumped out on that Minnesota game, remember how that security person tackled him? That's Joe Grube. Joe Grube would do that. If he saw someone, he would already be anticipating, he'd already be on top of you. But this particular stage manager let me get attacked almost. So the lady grabs my headset, pulls it off, and I'm a big fan. She had been drinking, and I was just caught off guard. I was like, man, it's easy to get to us like that. It makes you, right in and then people. You think about Monica Seles that happened, about 20 years ago when she's at, I don't know if it was the U.S. Open, the Australian Open, but she was at a big tennis match and she was sitting down.
Yeah, it was in Europe somewhere.
Yeah, so she's sitting down and the person stabbed her in the back. Yeah. And she never was the same. You get attacked like that, man, that does something to your psyche because you can't trust anybody.
Sure.
And here you got Dave Chappelle. This is a sold out event. And some lunatic runs up in a bayonet gun and lunges at him and actually tried to tackle him and stab him with this gun, knocked it out of his hands, and then he tried to take off and run. And then that's when everybody behind the scene that were behind the stage got him, and they beat the crap out of him. And then Dave Chappelle was like, "Oh, hold on, I'll be right back." And he drops he drops the mic and he goes and gets a couple of punches in.
Oh man!
And you saw the picture of the guy, man. You're like, hopefully this deters people from doing that. Like you saw how that guy got really just.
Well, last week we talked about Mike Tyson with the guy in the airplane.
Yes.
People are just crazy.
Social media, that cloud is a drug. People want to be on social media. People want everyone. They want the likes. They want everybody to go viral. Why do you want to go viral when you get your ass kicked? I wouldn't want to go viral and my arm is dislocated, my nose is broken. I don't want to go viral that way because then it defeated the purpose. If you wanted to go viral, then just streak across the stage. Like those football games, people be running and they get, they outrunning the security and they finally get tackled. Nobody wants to tackle them because they're naked. Like, you gonna tackle them, Bob? No, I'm not tackling them. You gonna tackle them, Bill? No, somebody else tackle them. So that's what happens. Those guys go viral doing that kind of stuff. But they're not hurting anybody. They're not going out there trying to hurt a football player or stab somebody. They're just, drunk and having a good time. That's what you go viral on. I don't condone that. But when you're out there trying to hurt somebody, these comedians are fed up with it. They're fed up with it. And this is, I heard Ari Spears, who's one of our guys we listen to all the time. He made a comment. He's like, this has been going on for a while. This is not just an isolated incident. Comedians are always targets because of the things they say on their show. I may joke about somebody and they might laugh, but then they're waiting outside for me to do harm to me because they didn't like the joke because I embarrassed them. Yeah. And so he said they got to worry about that kind of stuff. And he said there's some clubs out there that have top-notch security that make sure no one does that, and there's other clubs that they don't. So it's a dangerous job being a comedian. We all think it's fun and games. They think it's everybody's laughing, having a good time. But, their lives are on danger. They don't have – if you're not a top-notch security – see, Dave Chappelle's top-notch. He's top-notch comedian. Yeah. Jamie Foxx, top-notch. Those guys are going to have a security team, okay? Even then, Mark, they still got to Dave Chappelle. You got all that security. You got all those people there. That guy still was able to get on stage and take a swing at you and basically try to stab you.
Well, Pavel's giving us that look that he's now into overtime and he should be home having dinner with his friends and family. So tell the folks, we mentioned the hot sauce with Dexter. Tell the folks how they can get some of that great stuff on their own.
Well, America, I'm going back to my little read. If you like the hot sauce and barbecue sauce, then you are listening to the right show. Gimme the Hot Sauce has the best small batch of organic sauces to spice up your kitchen. Chicago-style red sauce with a garlic twist, or our St. Pat's Verde green sauce with the extra avocado and cilantro. And our King's Q, saucy and sweet just like me. But, America, we listened to you. You said you wanted a hotter sauce. You said you wanted to call 911.
Feel the pain.
You want to call 911, and you wanted the fire department. So we came out with Chicago Fire 1871. And trust me, you will be calling for help. Okay? So it's hot as hell. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Okay? So hey, listen, y'all people out there who wanted hot sauce, you got your wish. Okay? So now when your eyes start watering and you say, honey, I think we need to call an ambulance. Just remember you asked for it and we brought it to you. Okay? So when you order the sauce,
get a free box of Tux.
Wow. This guy here, America.
And how about the reaction from Dexter when he asked that one stupid question? He's like, that's weird, man.
Who is that guy?
He's like, you can't be serious, right?
It was like a dead pause.
Yeah.
I was like, and I looked over, I was just like, wow, that just stopped the whole interview. All right, guys, thanks a lot. I'll see you next week. Oh, my God. Hey, go to get Hot Sauce 21 to get 21% off your first order. That's Hot Sauce 21. To get 21% off your first order, go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com, GIMME, the THE, hot sauce. You know how to spell hot sauce.com. And we also have t-shirts, mugs, and other swag too. And remember, she'll like it too. Just like Whispers.
All right, we thank everybody for listening to episode 77 of Give Me the Hot Sauce. Stacey's going to get a new sponsor from that delicious drink he's enjoying there.
Yeah.
Who's it?
Tux is our new sponsor.
No, not Tux, idiot. Oh, it's what's apple cider? What is it?
Angry Orchard.
There you go.
Angry Orchard. If you're listening, I drink this every show.
So send a couple of cases over.
Matter of fact, I've had a few today. As you can tell, I forgot what I was drinking. So don't be afraid. We don't turn nothing down but our collars over here at the Sriracha Studio. So if you want to send us a few cases, we'll take them.
And she'll like it too.
And she'll like it too. With the creepy Frank Thomas voice.
We want to thank our guests, Vincent Goodwill, talking about the Bulls and everything going on at the NBA playoffs. Dexter the Blade Jackson giving us some tips on bodybuilding and just a fascinating story. He was a great guest. And we are coming back next week with a brand new show. We'll see what's going on in the NBA playoffs and a whole lot more. Pavel, time to get us out of here. Episode 77. Thanks for listening. Make sure to share, listen, and subscribe on YouTube and all your favorite podcast carriers.
Drop home safely. Beep, beep.
Oh, my goodness. Give me the hot sauce, Bill Funk. Give me the hot sauce. What are you doing, Dragon?